Treasury Secretary Scott testified before House lawmakers today, just hours after he returned from trade talks in London with officials of the Chinese Communist Party. He says China needs to make major changes to its economic model. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley has the details.
But the country needs to be a reliable partner in trade negotiations.
Testifying before the House Ways and Means Committee on Wednesday, Treasury Secretary Scott called the U.S.-China negotiations successful as both sides agreed to a trade framework.
If China will course correct by upholding its end of the initial trade agreement we outlined in Geneva, and I believe after our talks in London they will, then the rebalancing of the world's two largest economies is possible.
He says the U.S. is giving the CCP a chance to correct its course, and that China has one path forward. Stop what it's been doing for decades, stop overproducing goods with government subsidies, and then dumping those goods onto the world market and thereby undercutting global trade. And he says that they need to start consuming and making products for their own domestic market.
China currently has the most imbalanced economy in the history of the world. They are in the midst of a real estate downturn. Some may cause a crisis, and they are trying to export their way out of it rather than take domestic measures.
Besant says that if the CCP keeps increasing exports in the way that it has, it will cause substantial decreases to the standard of living for Americans and those around the world. Now, some House Democrats raised concerns at this hearing that the CCP has not made good on their previous promises in trading with the U.S., and that trade deals with the communist regime going forward should be given greater oversight through Congress.
And although it committed to increasing its imports from the U.S. by $200 billion from 20 to 21, it only followed through with 58% of its promised purchases.
China has failed to meet these purchase commitments. Those were purchase commitments that were negotiated by Trump in his first administration.
They met their agreements under President Trump in 2020, and President Biden did not enforce them, and the Chinese delegation told me that they did not believe they needed to adhere to them.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Also, what came up is the danger of the U.S. relying on China for pharmaceuticals and how vulnerable the U.S. would be to relying on the CCP, its greatest adversary, for this life-saving medicine.
That actually gives them negotiating leverage. I think it would be a tragic mistake if they were ever to flip off that switch, but it's always there. They could.
Besant also said that the Chinese regime has been an unreliable trading partner in the past, and that during this time around, the U.S. tariffs on China and other countries are meant to increase domestic manufacturing, and that will give the U.S. a better position in the event that China once again breaches its contract. Reporting by Jack Bradley, NTD News.